Hi, hello everyone. My name is Joe. Hope you all are doing well. This is a series of videos where we'll discuss questions very similar to Azure AI-102 certification exam questions. We'll go through these questions, discuss in detail each and every option, and figure out the correct one. So if you're preparing for AI-102 certification, feel free to join me in this series of videos. A basic knowledge of Azure AI services will be helpful for you to better understand these questions. To prepare for the certification, I watched one training and it was extremely helpful. Although you can watch any trainings, I would highly recommend this one. I'll provide the link of this training in the description box below. Now to the format of the question. We have to select the correct option based on the requirement stated in the question. You have a language service resource that performs the following: sentiment analysis, named entity recognition, personally identifiable information identification. You need to prevent the resource from persisting input data once the data is analyzed. Which query parameter in the language service API should you configure? Model version, piiCategories, showStats, loggingOptOut. Now let us break down the question. What are the keywords present in the question? So the question is regarding language service resource. And what is it used for? In this scenario, it is used for sentiment analysis, entity recognition, and PII detection. And we are providing it with our input data. And once the analysis of the data is complete, the data should be deleted from the resource. To achieve this, which query parameter should we configure in the language service API? That is the question. So about Azure AI Language Service, it is a natural language processing service used for understanding and analyzing text. Various features are present in Azure AI Language Service. So one among them is named entity recognition. So if we provide an input text, it will identify the important entities present in that given input. For example, it identifies the name of a person, location, event, date, etc. So that is what is named entity recognition is. It will identify important entities present in the input text. Next is personal and health data information detection or PII detection. So it is for identifying the personal information in the given text. So it will identify the name of the person, address, email, IP address, and all those kind of information from the input text. Now next is sentiment analysis. So sentiment analysis is for analyzing the sentiment of the input text. So it will identify whether the input text is positive, negative, or neutral. So these are the three features stated in the question. Now let us get into the option. So to prevent the resource from persisting the input data, which parameter should we include in the API call? So the first option is model version. So what is model version? So in the model version parameter, we'll mention which version of the model to use. So here in the documentation, you can see either you can pass the latest to use the latest model or any supported version of the model. So that is what is model version parameter is about. Next is PII categories. So let us see what it is. So this documentation is about PII entity categories. So PII is personally identifiable information. What all categories are detected as PII? So it can detect person, person type, phone number, organization, address, email, all these categories present in the input data. So if we have to identify a person present in the input data, we have to pass PII categories equal to person. So the name of the person will be identified from the input data. If you provide PII categories equal to person type, it will detect the person type entity, which is the job type or roles held by the person. So we provide PII category equal to phone number, it will detect the phone number present in the input text. So that is what is PII category parameter is used for. So that is not what we need. Next option is showStats. So what is this parameter used for? So here in this text analysis API documentation, here we can see this post request, we have passed showStats parameter. So it's a Boolean value. If it is set to true, the response will contain a request and document level statistics. So just to get additional information in the output, like how many documents the API have analyzed, how many of them were successful, how many of them was failure, then how many characters did it analyze, all those kind of additional details. So if we pass showStats equal to true in the API call, we will get all those additional information in our output. So that is what this parameter is used for. So that is not what we need. Now the final one is loggingOptOut. So what this parameter is used for. So here in the data privacy and security for Azure AI language documentation, if we further go down, here we can see how is data retained and what customer controls are available. So the data is stored up to 48 hours only and is purged thereafter. To prevent this temporary storage of input data, the loggingOptOut query parameter can be set accordingly. So note this sentence: to prevent the temporary storage of input data, loggingOptOut query parameter can be set accordingly. By default, this parameter is set to false for language detection, key phrase extraction, sentiment analysis, and named entity recognition endpoints. The loggingOptOut parameter is true by default for PII and health feature endpoints. So if we have to purge the data after analyzing it, we have to set loggingOptOut equal to true. So the resource will not retain the data. Now let us get back into the question. So which query parameter in the language service API should you configure to prevent the resource from persisting input data? The correct answer is option D, loggingOptOut. So what did we learn in this video? To prevent the temporary storage of input data, the loggingOptOut query parameter can be set accordingly. By default, this is set to false for language detection, key phrase extraction, sentiment analysis, and named entity recognition endpoints, and it is set to true by default for PII and health feature endpoints. The link for all the documents shown in the video will be given in the description box. If you find this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.